Teresa Giudice storming off the soundstage altogether is just one example of the heated Real Housewives of New Jersey Season 13 reunion teaser for the third installment. Teresa and Melissa Gorga, her sister-in-law and a cast member of the program, have been at odds for a long time. Since Melissa joined during Rhobh Season 2, Teresa and Melissa have been at odds, but this argument feels a little different. According to People, Teresa is seen blowing off at Melissa and Teresa's brother Joe Gorga in a new teaser for the third segment of the Rhobh Season 13 reunion. Teresa is questioned about whether she ever suggested to her brother that he was capable of surpassing Melissa. Joe concurs with Teresa's strong denial of this accusation, but the altercation then goes deeper and Teresa really storms off the stage. Joe and Melissa dispute Teresa's accusation that Joe invented the myth. He made it up because he's married to you, Melissa, and she persuaded him to fabricate the lie, Teresa adds. Teresa Giudice of Rhobh calls her daughter Gia to support her allegations. Joe acknowledged that Teresa had never claimed that he was more deserving than Melissa, but he went on to say that Gia Giudice, Teresa's daughter, had made the assertion. After that, Teresa gave her daughter Gia a call to hear her version of events. Gia replied, "I called him about the wedding, saying he should do the right thing." Joe and Melissa were not present for Teresa's wedding to Luis Ruelas, even though the phone conversation was purported to have occurred. "I never told him he could do better than my Aunt Melissa," Gia continued. "And it's unfortunate that you're accusing me of lying, Zio Joe." Since Teresa's conflict with Melissa started, Joe and Teresa's relationship has been in decline, and in recent years, it has only become worse. Teresa is now making what appears to be an unexpected allegation that Joe and Melissa helped the FBI put her and her ex-husband Joe Giudice to prison. Their children's perceptions of their aunts, uncles, and cousins deteriorated along with Joe and Teresa's relationship. Given that Teresa seems to depart the reunion soundstage at some point and isn't seen returning and making amends in the trailer, it is difficult to see how Teresa and Melissa could continue to get along on Rhobh. Recovering from a broken sibling relationship is difficult, but it is increasingly harder when accusations start to circulate and kids get involved. It was supposed to be the moment of clarity, the reunion that either healed or finally fractured one of the Real Housewives of New Jersey's most infamous family feuds. But instead, it ended in stormy tears, final words, and the unmistakable sound of stilettos stomping away. During the fiery Season 13 reunion of Rhobh, Teresa Giudice, the franchise's original table-flipping queen, angrily walked off set after an explosive exchange with her sister-in-law and longtime nemesis, Melissa Gorga. What followed was a reunion not marked by reconciliation, but by a definitive end to a relationship that's been unraveling before Bravo cameras for over a decade. And for viewers who've stuck with this roller coaster of betrayal, heartbreak, and family drama since Season 1, Teresa's walk-off felt less like a scene and more like a chapter slamming shut. The calm before the fire. Reunions on Rhobh are rarely peaceful, but this one began with a thin veneer of composure. Teresa sat perched in her usual position beside host Andy Cohen, her posture tight, her expression unreadable. Melissa arrived just minutes after, offering a practiced smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. The energy in the room was tense, as though everyone knew the storm was coming, but no one could predict its form. With each question, Andy tried to navigate the minefield between them: wedding snubs, podcast jabs, loyalty tests, and the ever-expanding chasm between Joe Gorga and his only sister. Though they answered politely at first, the underlying resentment simmered just beneath their words. Then Andy dropped that question, the one that lit the match. The trigger. Do you regret not inviting Melissa to be in your wedding party? It was simple, a Bravo reunion classic. But in New Jersey, nothing is ever just simple. When asked if she regretted not asking Melissa to stand beside her at her lavish, headline-grabbing wedding to Louis Roulis, Teresa's tone turned instantly sharp. "No," Teresa replied, her voice tight. "Because I knew where we stood. She's never been happy for me, ever." Melissa visibly recoiled, her eyes flashing with disbelief. "I wasn't happy for you," she shot back. "Teresa, I've tried. For years, I showed up for you, I defended you, but you've always treated me like I don't belong." That was the crack in the dam. Years of tension erupt in seconds. Teresa's carefully painted expression crumbled as she leaned forward, her voice rising. "You came on this show behind my back," she yelled. "You were never loyal. You and your husband used me to get fame." Melissa, shaking her head, responded in kind. "I didn't come on this show to hurt you. I came on because I was tired of being silenced. Tired of being painted as the bad guy while you controlled the narrative." Andy, caught in the middle, tried to interject, but the years of pain between these two women had found a voice, and it was loud. "You never wanted me in the family," Melissa cried. "You never saw me as a sister." "And you're not," Teresa snapped. "You're not my blood. And after today, you're nothing to me." It was the final nail in the coffin. The walk-off heard round Jersey. Teresa abruptly stood, her hands trembling as she pulled off her mic pack. "I'm done," she muttered. "I'm done pretending." "Teresa, sit down." Andy tried to coax her, but she was already halfway to the edge of the set. As she disappeared behind the curtains, the stunned silence she left behind was deafening. Backstage, cameras followed her into her dressing room, where she paced, wiped tears from her heavily made-up eyes, and muttered, "I've had enough of the lies. Enough of the fakeness." Andy eventually visited her backstage, trying to convince her to return, but Teresa shook her head. "I'm not going back out there with her. I'm done trying to fix something that's broken beyond repair." Melissa left behind, a silent farewell. Back on set, Melissa sat in stunned silence. For once, there were no snide remarks or sarcastic comebacks, just a heavy, heartbreaking stillness. "I didn't want this," she finally said, "but I can't fight for someone who doesn't want me in her life." The other cast members, Dolores Catania, Jennifer Aydin, Margaret Josephs, and newcomers Danielle and Rachel, looked on, some with empathy, others with shock. Even they couldn't deny, this was different, this was final. It wasn't just another reunion fight. It was the collapse of what little remained of a relationship that had been strained since season 3, when Melissa and Joe Gorga first joined the cast, igniting a family feud that has only escalated with every season since. A reunion without resolution. Teresa never returned to the reunion set. Melissa, after finishing the segment with the rest of the cast, exited quietly, no fanfare, no victory, no bitterness, just exhaustion. Bravo fans were left reeling. On social media, reactions poured in: heartbreak, disbelief, sadness. Even those who had taken sides in the Gorga-Giudice feud found themselves mourning what could have been. This wasn't just reality TV drama. This was a family falling apart, publicly, painfully, and permanently. Final thoughts. Is this really the end? For years, Bravo viewers have watched Teresa and Melissa's relationship teeter on the edge. Moments of hope followed by fresh betrayal. But this time, there was no olive branch, no last-minute hug, no tearful reconciliation. Just silence. Teresa Giudice's decision to walk off the reunion set marks more than a dramatic ending to season 13. It symbolizes the collapse of a family bond that, for many seasons, fans hoped could be repaired. But sometimes, even in the most loyal families, too much is said, too much is felt, and the scars run too deep to heal. In New Jersey, family is everything, until it's not. And for Teresa and Melissa, this might just be goodbye for good.